So, the Queen's speech, local elections, Tory leadership. As Lord Toritori, I thought I should make a statement. One thing though, before we go any further, this videogram is just for public school men, Eton, Harrow, Winchester and so on. Most of them are public, but for other people, townspeople, village people, Obidans, women, foreigners, go and watch one of my other videograms now. There's plenty to choose from. Police and crime bill, Brexit, Irish border, Harry and Meghan, morality. Don't watch the one about the NHS, that's also reserved. And don't go and watch that one about PPE procurements, that shouldn't even be there. Nettlebed tells me once something's up on your tubes, nothing you can do to take it down, but so that shouldn't have been there in the first place. All right. Now then, the Queen's speech. We have a number of useful measures. We have the suppression of protest with the police and crime bill. I have talked about that before, but this is very good. This will prevent people from protesting. And in the same vein, judicial review. We don't want oiks in the court interfering with what the government has chosen to do. So those restrictions on judicial review, I think, will sort that out. And voter identification. I mean, frankly, if a young person hasn't got a driving licence or a passport, do we really want them to vote? Let's keep them out of the picture. So I think that will be a useful measure. Now, the local elections overall, I would say, went pretty well. Apart from one or two instances, such as Tunbridge Wells, where the Tories lost overall control. But you see, I think that was just down to that leaflet that Dave Fernando showed to me. You can see the earlier videograms for that. And that put the facts in front of people, which was problematic. And, you know, when people saw those, they were less likely to vote Tory. So, lesson learned. I think we need to prevent that sort of thing happening in the future. And the measures that I've talked about will certainly help. But other than that, a pretty good showing. And in the light of that, I think probably Boris Johnson can remain as Conservative Party leader and Prime Minister through the rest of this year, unless the Cummings man has got some particularly unpleasant dirt to dish when he talks to Parliament at the end of May. But other than that, I think Boris Johnson can stay in, and I think that's better, you see. If he leaves next year, then he can take all the blame for the Brexit cock-ups and COVID similarly with him. And the new man, you see, going for a general election following year or the year after can say, well, my government has only been in power for a short time, and let's just look at our record during that time. You see, it's a much better position with a completely new man. Now, something I wish to say in that respect, which is, I have never sought high office, but if my friends and colleagues persuaded me that they wanted to put my name forward, I would be prepared to stand in that instance. And there you see, I would be a completely new man with no blame for any of what's gone before. What we could do with the public inquiry is launch it shortly before the general election so that it's got no findings emerging at the time of the general election. That would be better, you see. I know no blame would attach to me personally anyway, but that's better in terms of the overall party. So, if you wish to make any donations for that, for any leadership campaign that there might be, they may be sent to the Toritori estate office. But do put the word around amongst the nobility of what I've said to you in this videogram. So, Simpkins, I think that was just about everything, wasn't it? Oh, no, the 2 points, yes. 2 things had particularly persuaded me of this. One is, in conversation, I've had this series of conversations, you can see in the other videograms, with that man Dave Fernando, and I've discovered through that means that I have the capability to relate to the lower man, you see, not just the servants on the estate whom I know, but somebody who I'd never met before. And that has demonstrated to me the capability that I have to communicate. The second point also was concerned with the way that Brexit enabled the British clubs to break away from the European Super League. Now, I know you heard this point being made by Boris Johnson at Prime Minister's question time in response to a question that was asking about that. But it's a question of leadership here, you see. Where did you hear it first? On my videogram 6 days earlier, presumably where Boris Johnson has heard it as well. So there's the question. Who is actually leading the country in these matters? Clearly, I recognise in humility the part that I can play. If I was Prime Minister, then I know this would be from the House of Lords, so we'd have to have some change in legislation, but I'm sure that could be arranged. And I have talked to Lady Magnolia about this. She's quite happy if I do it from next year. She's quite keen for me to oversee, so we're doing some major reorganisation of the South Gardens. She's quite keen that I'm here to provide overall supervision of that, along with Thistleweed and the men, over the course of the summer. But I could do that this year and then take on Prime Minister next year. So that would be perfectly all right. I would get my brother Parsi to come and be resident here. He could do all his hedge fund dealings with the telephones and so on, but he would be able to run the estate with the help of the agent, so that I could be in Downing Street. So put the word around, as I say, and do lend me your support, morally and financially, if you wish me to put my name forward. Thank you. So Simpkins, those were the 2 points. Yes, so we've covered those. All right. That's all I have to say then. So you can stop watching. Natal bed. I think that camera may still be running. Do you want to have a look? Because you know about switching it off. Yes, over there, yeah, in the usual place. Do stop shivering, man.